Welcome to the Real Estate Rundown. President Biden said, I'm calling on realtors to follow through on lowering their commissions to protect homebuyers. Oh. Let's talk about
home
it.
buyers?
Protect, huh?
Yes.
Lower your commissions.
The DOJ
Yes.
just protected the home sellers, not the home buyers, right?
Yeah, they removed buyer compensation.
Now home buyers have to pay a commission to their real estate.
Yeah, so it was interesting that Biden's remarks kind of favored that the discount is going to go towards the buyer.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what he tried to say.
That's
is
what
that,
he said.
Yeah, well, that's what they're.
He said on a typical home purchase, that alone could save folks an average of $10,000 on the sale or purchase.
No, it's gonna save the listing agent or the listing, the actual seller.
Didn't he
$10,000?
Didn't he quote like the $30 billion a year of savings or something like that? And too that they were anticipating that it could save.
I don't have that in front of me. I'm just like reading. This is the White House's official press briefing. And Biden said that in addition, last week, the National Association of Realtors agreed for the first time that Americans can negotiate lower commissions when they buy or sell their home.
For the first time?
Yeah.
No, sell.
Commissions have never been negotiable, Mr. President.
Know, guys, this is like
terrible.
So for us realtors, we are just like in full on cringe mode.
Total.
I mean, ew, it gives me the ick.
Well, the fake news around this is just preposterous.
If you're you're an FHA buyer, you're getting an FHA loan, you have to come up with 3.5% commission, or not commission, but
down payment.
Down payment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now you have to pay your real estate agent 2.5%. So really, what Biden did, or the DOJ did, was now it costs 6% for an FHA buyer to.
Yep.
I mean, unless you can get an
Biden,
agent to
Biden
pay
or
less.
the DOJ didn't do this. This was a settlement that
It wasn't
NAR
Biden,
agreed
but-
to.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Well, the DOJ still has to approve it.
they could file a statement of interest. They may choose not to.
Yeah.
I doubt it, though.
Which would be like additional things that they want, right?
Yes.
If they don't approve it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
considerations for the
it's-
judge.
Okay.
Like, hey, judge, you should consider this, and you should consider this, and you should consider this. So the DOJ can do that. The FTC could also do something. I mean, think about it. Like, it wasn't too long ago that the FTC fined Open Door, like $63 million or $64 million or something like that.
Yep.
So we know that like legislators and the government has definitely, tapped into this.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I mean, Biden's really smart. I can't believe that he would say that.
Yeah, I'm sure what they're referring to is in those rare scenarios where a buyer actually has to pay the commission because they signed the buyer-broker agreement.
Yeah.
But the disconnect is we all know probably, let's call it 95, and that to me, that's a very conservative number, plus percent of the time, it's paid for by the seller through the buyer-broker compensation in the MLS. And most of these buyers aren't forking out money. If they are, maybe it's 0.5%, 1% every now and then, not $10,000. That's probably on the rare side, at least from my personal experience.
Well, the fact that they, I mean, here's the problem, right? It's the Sherman antitrust where they weren't giving that buyer's agent, the buyer, the ability to actually negotiate the commission because it was a pre-disclosed amount that they were being paid. Now that with that issue being there, that still doesn't mean that I, as a buyer, couldn't have said, Kayla, who's representing me to buy my house, hey, I want you to give me 2.5% back based on those types of things. You could have done
Redfin
those
does
things.
that, right?
You
Redfin gives
absolutely could have done those things.
Yep.
I mean, there's brokerages that offer that. They say, hey, use our buyers and we'll give you a rebate, right?
Yep.
But I will say, though, that the realtor community, by and large, kind of looks at that practice as kind of gross.
Oh, you can't do that.
It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of gross.
Well, it's an incentive.
Keep has
which
the
is
giggles.
But
No, I can't get over it.
But
Jay's
that money
comment.
has to
I'm
come
still
from
thinking
somewhere. So
about
like
it.
people thinking that they're the buyers aren't paying for it. Well,
The
who's getting
smartest president in the world, man?
Yeah, who's
Come on.
getting the loan? The buyer.
buyer.
Who's paying cash for the property? The buyer.
So, yeah, I read in a forum, someone commented, like, well, the buyer actually always pays all the
Always.
commission because they bring in the money for the house. But I think that the sad thing is that the news and the media, they're spinning this. They're making buyers think that they're going to get a discount.
And they're going to go, what do you mean I got to pay?
Like Jay saying Biden's smart.
What do you mean? Huh?
Yeah, no, like no
happen?
joke. I'm getting my nails done. I was getting my nails done today, and there is a lady behind me getting her nails done, and she's telling the nail tech how her son is really excited now because he's going to go buy a house, and because of this news, he's going to get a better deal.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you.
That's
talk about
media 101 right there.
Yeah.
That's
of course,
they're really
that's
spending
sad.
it.
You guys should see me. I'm just sitting there. I'm going like, okay, don't, Kayla. Don't like, stop. No, nothing.
I know.
Well, actually,
Yeah. I turn around. I'm like, so.
Hopefully he's really experienced, because if he waits after it fully passes, there's a strong probability he's going to have no representation, and good luck.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
It's sad because this hurts new first-time home buyers. Now a regular seller, it doesn't really hurt because they're gonna pay a listing commission to sell their house, and then they're gonna pay a buyer commission. So it's the same. It's the same.
It's a wash.
If you're gonna sell your house and buy a house, it's the same.
I'm
If
literally
you're going to only buy your house, which are new first-time home buyers, it hurts them.
agreed.
So
'Cause now they have an extra charge.
I'm seeing in forums that people are actually asking questions like, should we wait to sell our house until after this goes into effect? And I'm like, well, this is insane.
Wow.
Well, are you gonna buy something, Mr. Seller?
Because then it's gonna be
Yeah.
insane.
Even if they don't buy anything, I believe most sellers are still going to offer compensation,
Absolutely.
at least for a while.
Why?
And not only
Why would
that-
you? Because you don't have to. It doesn't show. It doesn't show anywhere. So the whole point of offering is to not have commission on the MLS, right?
Right. Not
So
yeah.
now they have to, that there's no, you're not competing against the person that's paying 3% and then you're paying 0. You're not competing against them. They're just, hey,
because there's
come see my
not
house.
going to be anything there.
And then you get to know. Once you like it, then you get to understand.
Because I still think that agents will get a compensation agreement with the buyer, and a lot of buyers will say, only show me houses where there's compensation involved.
Yep.
But how are they going to know?
Because otherwise they're
Because
on the
the
hook
agent's
for it.
going to just have to one-off go and connect with each other listing
and call
agent.
each
Yeah.
listing agent and go, hey, are you offering commission? Because my buyer only wants to look at houses that are offering commission.
I thought
Yeah.
that they were going to allow in some of the MLSs that they were going to allow
Put it to work.
the MLS to offer concession. Seller could offer concessions to the buyer.
Yes, there is a concessions.
That's how they'll filter it.
There is
right
a
there.
concessions field.
Concessions, you mean
Right.
commissions.
Concessions.
we just changed the word from commission to concessions now.
That I could see that happening, especially for a little bit. Or if the house doesn't sell in like the first 30 days, all of a sudden those concessions climb.
All of a sudden, it's in there.
Yep. All of a sudden, amendment.
Up
Yeah.
to 40% concessions here.
My realtor heart gets so angry at this. It's frustrating. But then on the other hand, I do see a ton of opportunity.
I definitely see a ton of opportunity. I think that I, for one, think there's going to be a massive land grab in this, right? Because at the end of the day, there's still going to be a certain amount of transactions that are going to happen every single year. That all happens off of contacts. And so those of you that don't know what I mean when I say land grab, is going to be a land grab for your database, your people that you know, because a lot of the real estate agents may be bouncing. We all know it's predicted that this could hit well into the 6 figures of agents leaving the business. Well, guess what? Those 6 figures of people know people, and i.e. that's transactions, land grab.
Is there anywhere where you guys are seeing that someone's predicting that many agents leaving the industry, or is that just something that you guys are predicting?
No.
There's a group. It's called the Consumer Federation of America, and they're like a consumer rights group, and they do research like on all sorts of different things, not just like realtors and commissions. And they specifically have spoken to that. And I can't remember the number. Ellie, I think you mentioned 30% washout
Yes.
is what you saw.
Over what time frame?
They didn't
didn't
necessarily
specify that.
say, but I think we're going to see some washout. I do. But what I'm going to be really curious to see is if transaction count goes down over the next like 1, 3, 5, 7, 10 years, because I think that a lot of realtors inspire transactions. Like I know we sure
100%
did
big time.
when we
100%.
would like go, we would
yeah.
target
There were
renters
several
like
people that
crazy.
we got into houses that they probably would never got in a house if we didn't push them to it. You know,
I-
like, hey, let's go buy a house, dude. It's 3.5%. You don't have, or 3. It was at 3% at that time. You don't have to put anything more down. 3%. You got $7,500. Let's go.
Well, even when
Really?
you approach
Huh?
a seller, right? Because then, especially if they're buying, you're inspiring them to sell or cancel an expired or whatever reason, sell now for X reason. Now they become a buyer. You're inspiring 2 transactions. There's a lot.
You know, it's sad because everyone's like, oh, affordability, Pfft, whatever. No one gives a crap about affordability. It just hurts the first time home buyer.
This does hurt the first time home buyer. I know we keep talking about it, and it's hard not to keep rehashing it because it is such a big change. So Mike Del Prete came out and said that like people are just basically making this lawsuit whatever they want to make it to fit their specific narrative. He said that like, if people want it to be a seismic shift, it's a seismic shift. If people want it to be this, it's this. If they want it to be good for the consumer, it's good for the consumer. If they want it to be bad for the consumer, it's bad for the consumer. And that basically
That's
like
just humans, though.
yeah. And I think it's
So
too
what-
soon to tell.
It's too soon to tell.
I do agree. That's an intelligent statement.
I mean, I think it's sellers. The selling community is gonna. They're gonna clean house.
Yeah, the Real Trends guy, Steve Murray, said that basically there ain't no way sellers are going to pass along that savings to buyers.
Yeah, I saw the lab code guy talking about the same stuff too.
And then when they're on the buy side, they're gonna be beating up the seller, trying to beat up the sellers, right?
Yeah.
That's how it always is.
well, prices
And they
have
get so frustrated, right?
Prices
They're
have now been set. I mean, think about the idiocracy, honestly, that would be of sellers if there's no economic shift and we're going to start passing off the savings to the buyer, i.e., then lowering the comps.
Yeah, it does lower
Like,
the comps.
Why would you do that?
I don't think they will.
That's what I'm saying. I'd be like, hey, Kayla, here's $100. I'm going to go ahead and give you this $100 for $95 just because I'm nice, because inflation is on the level right now.
Not happening.
No.
Well, okay, in other news, housing supply has ticked up ever so slightly. That's good news. We
Supply demand.
Yeah, we've been dealing with like kind of critically low inventory, but we do have a little bit more inventory coming on the market. So new listings rose 15% for the week ending March 17th, which was the biggest increase since June of 2021.
Jeez.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll have a few hundred more transactions, huh?
Yeah,
much, but-
and things taking a little bit longer to sell, depending on the marketplace.
Yeah, and I mean, to what Jay was talking about before, affordability is in the crapper, right? Like, houses are hella expensive, money's expensive, and I think that's where it's really important to have your house shine, right? Like, your house has to be the cat's meow to sell quickly on the market.
Did you know meow is in homeowner?
Yeah. No, you said, yeah. I'm like,
Say it with the meow.
Home meow.
home meow.
Okay,
Are you a home meowner?
So we're doing this podcast later in the day. Usually it's in the morning, and right now I feel like we're all like giggly and laughy and
It's all good.
a little bit off our.
No, I'm pissed.
Normal.
It's like first-time home buyers.
I know.
And Jay's really
we have
disappointed
young
in
kids,
Biden, too.
like young kids that aren't going to be able to afford a house. They're, they got to move out to the, the middle of the desert to
Florence,
even get a house. Like, hey,
Sacaton,
Wow.
Colby shaking.
you gotta leave. You gotta let them out of the office earlier so they can go, drive an hour and a half to get to home.
If they're your kids, mine, or somebody that's in the industry, you can maybe turn them on to like some things like wraps and some subject to purchases, different ways to acquire a property. But how many people know how to do that type of stuff, or even that it exists?
Well, and
The
it's not
overwhelming-
necessarily cheaper. Sometimes
Yes.
they want 20. Sometimes they want
Absolutely.
5 to 20% down themselves.
Absolutely.
And then you default. You're actually maybe in a worse
default
situation
situation is-
than
absolutely.
if you have a normal mortgage.
Yeah, I agree.
That is
Keith.
true.
There are some risks to that
There-
for sure. Yeah.
But easier to qualify. That's the
Well,
caveat.
and what you're trying to capitalize. I mean, for me, it's all about trying to find that cheaper capital, right? Like,
Yeah, but I mean, there's no such thing.
I think we're going to see more people like house hack, right? Someone will buy a house and then they'll rent out rooms to other people, and there will be like combination of households in one household.
be like San Francisco, where they were. Remember that? Like people like buy that and they like throw sheds up on there. They were like super nice, but they were like charging them like $1,800 a month to like live in a shed.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. San Francisco at one point they were charging people to live in like
A shelf.
it was like a closet.
Coffin.
Yeah.
So you
It was
you
insane.
had like a they
Like
have-
shared bathrooms and shared
that's
kitchen.
kinda what I-
that's
It was
what
like
I was
talking
communal.
about, yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 4 of them, and then they have a communal area, and then you have one bed. And you just
Could
slide,
you imagine
slide
like
in
all the
there.
time
There's
live
a lot
there?
of
Like it'd be
places
one
in
thing to like
China
stay
like
the
that.
night in a place like that, but this is where I live.
Yeah, no, I could not.
Hell no.
I definitely could not.
Or Asia, I should say, not just China, but
So,
Japan.
hey, if
yeah,
you're
Japan has a lot of
considering,
places like that too.
well, they're like their real estate's like, see, well, Japan.
I mean,
actually-
your neighbor's window, so like is as close in some buildings as like you can just be like, hey, like you're that close to your neighbors.
That would be so weird.
Yeah.
So weird. Well, it is now officially cheaper to rent than buy a home in 50 of the largest U.S. metros.
Wow,
Sadly.
for a while that wasn't the case.
I know. Wah, wah, wah.
That does. That sucks. And especially because rents are still high, man.
Well,
I
they
mean,
did go down a little bit.
I understand that, but they still are, I feel like,
Well,
ludicrous.
so according to Realtor.com's recent rental report, rents fell for the 7th month in a row, according to their February report.
Well, that would make sense why these quote unquote buy and hold institutional buyers are not buying very many properties, or their offers aren't as good as they used to be, because that's a direct proportion
Yeah.
of
Rents.
of their offers,
Yep. Well,
or
that's-
direct reflection, I should say.
So there was like some misinformation that came out that someone did an article that like 40% of all homes were purchased by hedge funds last year.
I saw that too.
And then it just like propagated, and it was total misinformation, right?
Total misinformation.
But they've drastically slowed down their acquisitions, and a lot of them are like net sellers this year so far. We'll see how the year shakes out. So I think that we should talk about that for a little bit, because it's definitely like our area of expertise. We know, and I think because we have such a unique window into that world,
Yeah.
but like we know that this is now an established asset class. And even though currently, monetary policy is such that it is maybe not as advantageous to buy and hold real estate as rentals right now, but we know that it's an asset class. And so like, what do we think for the future of the single family rental asset class?
I've been saying it for a while. I think you're going to continue to, and I'm be curious to hear what you guys think, but I think you're going to start seeing more of what I was talking about before, is like the wraps and people trying to move properties from LLC to LLC and keeping a cheaper money in place, or we're going to see more seller finance. I mean, it doesn't, and I'm talking like, because you can pass off the property. For example, I have a 3% rate, 3.5% rate. I'll give you a 5.5% rate. So they're actually catching, the money of the difference in the wrap at that, right? You can pull on a different servicing company, and so it's all above board. But like Keith was talking about, if you don't have a certain amount of money down, you don't own it for a certain amount of time, you make even 2 missed payments, right? There's some risky stuff that comes into play in that. So I think you're going to see some of those those angles, and or are you going to start seeing more cash come out of the woodwork?
But the only thing
There would have to be a
with
lot
that
more
It-
inventory for that to start happening.
Yeah.
is how many home sellers are going to know how to do a wrap.
No.
I mean, think
No,
about
it
how
scares the
many
crap out of them.
They're not.
unbelievable amount. Elliot and I dove into that world massively a half a decade ago or so.
A little bit more.
And I was all part of a part of our. I know I can't. Actually, when I said, I'm like, holy shit, we've been doing this for half a decade already, almost. That was a part of like our listing package. Hey, this doesn't work for everybody. Just wanted to throw out another opportunity
Yep.
for you, and it was just so much confusion around. Like I understood it, but it is a little complicated.
Oh, yeah.
The process, you have to show your amortization, how much you're going to make if you lease it to somebody, or do a wrap or a seller carry for 5 years, how much more money they can make versus how much they pay their mortgage off. You went on and keep going down the rabbit hole on it. And it just really wasn't a thing. So I don't know how much we're going to see that, just because without an agent, no one's going to know how to do that.
Agreed. It took us time to learn how to present it, right? Because even though we did quite a few of them, I also had a couple of them go bad and had to help the seller foreclose on the buyer.
I think I remember.
One of them was our freaking mom, dude. Yep. Freaking like we had to, Ellie and I were like banging on the door, like trying to be nice.
I remember
but
that.
Also like threatening at the same time, like, bro, you better get out of here. We're gonna have a problem.
I know. We had like a victim. It sucked.
Did you guys hear about the New York landlord that was arrested for throwing squatters out of the house?
I did hear about that.
Did you hear about the landlord that got chopped up in little pieces and taken out by a bag?
What?
By a squatter?
No.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Wait, where did that happen?
Are you making that up?
No, I'm not. I read it.
They got
some squatter killed the landlord and chopped him up in little pieces and took him out in a bag.
In
and
New
threw
York?
him in the
But
cart.
so how
No,
do
I
you
don't know
get
if it was in
caught?
New York.
Where was that at?
how do they know it was
oh
a
my
squatter?
goodness.
New York City Department. There's a squatter suspected of killing a woman,
So it was
suspected.
in
stuffing her body in a duffel bag.
Oh my
It was in New York
goodness.
as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so crazy.
There's a lot of wild stuff going on in New York.
Yeah, don't go to New York.
like poor.
It's don't pour. It's freaking their
I love New
government.
York City.
I know,
that's what I'm
I
saying,
love
like,
New York
Anyway,
City.
another conversation, another rabbit hole.
I was just telling Carly that because she's never been to New York. I'm like, it's like an adult Disney form of Disneyland, especially because like the subway systems, the skyscrapers. When you're there,
I wouldn't go in that subway system.
Not
You
right
wouldn't
now.
now?
Not anymore.
No, I've seen crazy stuff on TikTok about the stuff that's happening right now.
really-
I know a lot of it's always pushed to the extreme, but it's a little out of hand right now. It's very frequent.
That is terrible. Wow, I had not heard that story. Yeah, squatters are I think
Well,
that
I watched a TikTok of some illegal alien talking about how he was basically telling everyone
giving them a tip.
go
yeah.
find empty houses and squat, get in the houses.
And
Yeah, once
if
you get in the
telling
house,
Yeah, get in the house and start living there.
and then
But
they
he's
can't.
telling them to go put the utilities on if they're not on, and move in stuff.
That is terrible.
I saw the one that you were talking about, Kayla, and I don't know. I think I saw it on Instagram, where the lady was getting kicked out and arrested, but it had something to do with trying to get a squatter out of the property.
right, and so they arrested the landlord.
Like, what?
Like it's your property, and you're just trying to defend your property from somebody illegally being there.
I know.
It's insane.
So I've heard you have to.
Well-
what you do is you lease it out to somebody else with a actual lease. If you have a squatter in there, and then now that person they move in with the squatter and then call the cops and say this person's in my house. Here's my
lease.
Is that the workaround?
That's what.
yeah, but
I
if
mean, I was
you find
reading
someone
about it.
who's
That's a good
wanting to
thought.
take that,
Yeah.
There's companies that do it.
gotcha.
Yeah.
That's a good thought. I like that.
Interesting.
Well, the main reason why that chicanery happens is because at the end of the day, we don't really own our properties. With
The municipal does.
yes, because of the property taxes.
taxes.
You have to have a very particular document filed on your property in order to actually truly be the owner. That's why it can be taken away from you, and
After
you
your
have
mortgage
not
is
as many
paid off.
rights as we think we do. But
Yeah. Sell your real
it's
estate.
very
privately.
interesting. I learned a lot of stuff a couple years ago. And it's just very intriguing. There's a lot of stuff that is just kind of mind blowing.
Michael Saylor talks a lot about that, and it's pretty fascinating.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Buy Bitcoin.
Yes.
My Bitcoin.
Yep. That ground. Keep driving it. Keep driving it up.
150s, 150,000 is probably around by the end of the year.
Around the corner. We're back to
Whew,
70.
if we get there by the end of the year, that'd be exciting.
You think that's your Bitcoin prediction?
Actually, there's other people who are thinking it's going to hit 500,000, but we'll see.
By the end of the year?
Kiyosaki says 300,000.
Well, they said in this bull run, so I consider that by the end of 2025, 2026.
Okay.
Wow. I
bull runs
mean,
are about 12, or they're about 10 months, right? That's the average.
It could
bull
be
run. And we just started.
Well, they're speculating this bull run is going to be a little bit longer, than
Longer,
the last than
yeah.
2021. They're thinking
Say they're saying
a
that-
lot of the people, the gurus that I watch, and who knows, right? No, I don't think anyone really holds the crystal ball. but everything that I'm seeing, at least through the end of 2025.
Yeah, well, I thought
Diamond
Sailor
hands.
was saying
Massive opportunity.
Diamond
no, I
hands.
mean gold hands.
Diamond hands.
yeah,
I mean, I'll take diamonds, but
through 24
Is that what I
and
was doing?
25.
Yeah.
that's what I thought
Diamond hands.
Sailor was
Diamond
saying.
Total.
So what do we got for? I know we're running here. We got anything for our segment? Because I got a little bit of advice
Go
that
for
I
it,
wanted
yo.
that I wanted to hit on.
Wrap us up.
Yeah, I think it's really important with what's going on in this. So what I'm about to say is definitely for the practitioner. It is for the people that are looking at this as the glass is half full, not the glass half empty. I am a big believer in there is going to be an opportunity to double down on the efforts and actually meet more buyers. As we've all talked about, people are going to be laying off the throttle on finding buyers, less ad spend, et cetera. And guess what? That brings opportunity because all those people who are buying a house also may have a house to sell. And those first-time buyers, there's our absolutely strategies that I'm going to encourage you to find that you should be using as lead magnets. Show them ways, whether it be concessions, show them ways that you can make a difference and ultimately pull those leads in to the point of where I think you even need to be looking at your tech stacks that you have. Like, so for example, your home registration IDX websites, if they have a house to sell, be backlinking that button. There's so many things that we could be doing right now that with these opportunities, buyers, I believe, are going to be looking in different places, and it's not going to be they're not going to be getting as blown up and hit up by 55 agents every time they register for to shop for a house on a website.
Now you can actually say, my services for buyers are free. Because you can do it for free. And then you can charge them 6% to sell their house.
There you go.
Get it on the south
That's
side.
how you get that people. You get those people, raise your
or
hand,
even
like, oh, how do I
4%,
get free?
4.5%.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got a
I'll
house
give
to
you
sell?
discount.
All right, I can do it for free.
So I'm saying there's going to be so many angles and so much marketing opportunity that's coming out of this. So like I said, be an optimist, pay attention to your local market, find that niche, exploit it, and blow it up. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Check it out. Check us out. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. That way you are notified every time a podcast drops. Have a good one.